Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It's Kelly from Keeping Money Jazzy, where I share my budgeting plans as well as my slow and steady race to become debt free, which is now on pause. But we're here for this video to do 5 tips that I use to use a credit card for variable spending without carrying over a balance or without paying interest. So if you're interested in this type of content, just stay tuned and hit that like button and subscribe to get more tips and budgeting information. All right, so now we're just gonna hop into it. So, tip number 1, budget. When I say budget, that means knowing how much you're going to spend for your variable expenses, whether it's weekly or whether it's monthly. This is one thing that you need to know in order for this to work properly. So say for instance, November's coming up and the holidays are coming, and if you want to spend money for your regular daily expenses, but you need to add in more money for your Thanksgiving or Black Friday, then you need to do that, and you need to know how much you really want to spend. So that's tip number 1, is just knowing your spending amount for that particular month. Tip number 2 is to either use a separate bank account for your spending, or you can use cash envelopes. I prefer using a separate bank account. It works better for me instead of me using cash. So what you can do is when you get paid, if you get paid weekly, semi-monthly, bi-weekly, however you get paid, what you can do is take either half of that money out of one paycheck and put it into that bank account, or put it into your cash envelopes. Or if you get paid monthly, you could take the whole amount out for the whole month and put it into the bank account, and then put it into individual envelopes. However you want to do it, it's completely up to you. This will help you to separate your spending money from your bill money. In this way, it will help you keep a better track of where your money is going and how you're doing. And to lead to the next tip is tip number 3 would be to track your expenses, track your spending. For me, I use a spreadsheet. I was using the app called, I think it's called Daily Spending or Transactions or something like that. I was use those 2 things to track my expenses. I usually track daily. So whenever at the end of the day, whenever I finish spending, I have all of my receipts and I scan them into Fetch. If you don't know what Fetch is where you use like your receipts, your grocery receipts, any receipts that you can scan, and you get points, and you use those points for cash out for gift cards. If you have not heard of it, and if you would like to use it, you can use my code down below. You can get $2,000 once you scan your first receipt, and I can get 2,000 points, and I can get 2,000 points for referring you through my link. But back to that. So at the end of the day, I scan my receipts in the Fetch, and I also plug in all of my amounts and for whatever categories they are for into my spreadsheet or onto the app. So that way I know how much I have spent for that particular day. and where I kind of will be at the end of the week. And so with cash, it's going to be a little different. It's the same premise, is that you will, at the end of time, you do your tracking. I track weekly now, which works so much better for me because I can track each category to see where I'm at the end of each week. And it helps me to keep on track with where I'm spending my money and not necessarily going over because I am swiping my card. So that's a good thing to do. And so tip number 1 was budget and know your expenses. Tip number 2 was you should use a separate bank account, or you can use cash for spending. And tip number 3 was to track your expenses. Now on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is to know your statement date and to know your due date. These 2 dates are very, very, very important when it comes to using credit cards, so you will not have to pay interest on these cards. Let me preface this to say that if you're going to use credit cards for your variable spending, you have to be a disciplined person. It took me a long time to get here to be kind of disciplined. And I still have my moments because I'm a swiper and I'm a spender. But you have to be a discipline. If you are a person that wants to use your credit card and you just keep swiping, this system will not work for you. So cash might be the way for you to go. But credit cards are not for everybody, and I completely understand that. And cash is not for everybody. I completely understand that as well. So you have to know what works for you and figure out that system yourself. All right, so know those 2 dates. Those 2 dates are important. Now, your due date is when your minimum balance is due. Your statement date or closing date is when the credit company reports your balance to the credit bureau. And usually from the time of the due date to for your statement date, that is when the interest kind of hits. So what options that I have done? The first option is, what you can do is, if you say, for example, you have a Capital One card and your due date is on the 28th of each month and your closing date is on the 3rd of the next month. Usually the due date and closing date is like 2 to 3 days apart. So whatever your closing date is, whatever your due date is, your closing date is right there behind it. So with that being said, say you have a balance of $100 on the 24th of the month, and you don't plan on spending, and hopefully you won't. So what you can do is, you can, on the 24th of that, whenever you realize that you have a balance, what you can do is pay your balance 2 days before 2 to 3 days before your due date, which is the 28th. And that way you will be done with that card for the entire month. So that's option number 1, is to pay your balance by the due date. And that's really the only option, because I was gonna say option number 2 is you can pay your minimum balance on the 28th, and you can pay your remaining balance that you have within a day or so afterwards. But for me, it just makes sense to just pay it all at one time by the due date, so that way you will not accumulate any interest by the billing cycle. And that was actually tip number 5. Tip number 5 was the payment process, was that you pay your card a couple days before your due date. So with that being said, if you pay your card, say on the 25th of the month, and your due date is 28th. So that way it'll be clear by the 28th. Do not go and use your card on the 29th, because if you do that, the transactions take a couple days to post. So by the time they post, it could be the 1st, and then you do not have enough time for that payment to clear for the 3rd of the next month. So I think that's another thing that people do, is that they might pay the minimum payment and then will pay the balance off on the 28th, and then they go swipe their card for more things after that. And then when their statement comes out, they have interest on the card and a balance because they went ahead and used the card after that. Like I stated before, there's only like a 2 to 3 day window from your due date to your closing date. So if you're unable to pay that balance by the due date, I wouldn't recommend using it after the due date, because that's gonna report whatever you have on there, and it's gonna add interest to the card. So I hope you guys understood that. If not, leave a comment and I can try to explain it a little bit better or a little more in detail. All right, guys, so that is it for my 5 tips that I have for you on being able to learning how to use your credit card without paying interest. But now I want to actually show you guys what I have updated in my Etsy shop, and if you're interested, so I'm going to flip you over and we're going to check out the new listings. All right, guys, so I've created some new challenges and some new trackers in my Etsy shop, and if you're interested in anything that you see here, the link will be below. So I created a new $1,000 rainy day fund for you guys. It's $50 for each cloud, and you can just save $50 a month for this particular challenge. Or however you want to do it, just $50. This one is Give Me a High Five challenge. It's a $5 saving challenge, and it's for you to save a total of $500. Yes, a lot of these are small amounts, because I do realize that a lot of people cannot save a whole lot of money, but a little do go a long way. So this $5 challenge is there for you to start off small. If you're willing to try something different and just start off small by saving $5 a paycheck or $5 a week, or however you would like to do it, that's completely up to you. But this is the Give Me a High $5 challenge. And I have an affirmations crossword challenge, which you can do when you find the words. Just if you don't want to do it daily, you can do this weekly, completely up to you. I know it's pretty simple. It's a crossword puzzle, but once you find the words, cross the word out, of course, and just put that dollar amount in an envelope that you will get with this. It's a digital envelope that you will get with this challenge. And this challenge here is also just to get you in the habit of saving. 2022 is approaching very, very quickly, and I know some of us find it hard to save money, or they don't know where to start, or they don't know how. So I created this $1. I have another $1 a day challenge in my Etsy shop that I was actually doing myself, but I stopped for whatever reason in the middle of the year. But this $1 a day challenge, there is a tracker for each month, and what you can do is the amount of days that we have in a month, that's the amount of icons that you have. So January, of course, have 31 days. And if you save $1 for each day, you'll have $31. But if you can only save $20, you can just shade in 20 icons for that month, and you'll just put the amount that you actually save for the month here. And like I say, each month has a different tracker. So this one is for January. We have February, and majority of the trackers are like the themes of what could be happening in that year. It could be a holiday or what normally happens around that time. It could be a season. That's what these trackers are based off of, to be a little fun, try to be a little more fun for you guys. March Madness is for March, basketballs. April is Easter, Easter eggs. May, which is May flowers, springtime. June is normally Father's Day, and the flowers can be for Mother's Day as well. July is for like cookouts, for July, but mainly cookouts. Back to school is normally in August, depending on where you live. And Labor Day, which is for September. October, of course, is Halloween. November is Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that is it. That is everything that I have in my shop, guys. The dollar a day challenge, it do come in a bundle, so you will not get each individual tracker. It will just be the whole 12-month tracker for that one. And I have student loan trackers, I have credit card trackers, I have different challenges. Just if you're interested in any of this, just hop on over, check it out, and I would thank you for the support. And that is it, guys. That is it for this video. And I will see you guys in my October closeout. And I will see you very soon.